Happy New Year, you lovely people. My name is Coco, and 1 week into the new year, I still have food from my New Year's Eve party in the fridge. To make sure that food doesn't go to waste and to save some money, we shall clean out the fridge and the pantry together and cook some delicious meals. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is all of the food that we will use for this week's meal prep. I know it doesn't look like much, but we can cook 3 delicious meals out of all of that, and that will last us for the whole week, I promise you. First of all, what I always have in my pantry is flour and red lentils. These are just staples and probably in your household as well, so I always have that. Then also, what I still had in my freezer was these peas. I bought them, I don't know, 2 months ago for a recipe, don't know what it was. I was quite angry that I couldn't get the peas in a cardboard box, but that's why they're in a plastic bag, or what can you do? But yeah, we have the peas as well, was still in the freezer. And what I got from food sharing was the onions and the pasta. You might remember that, the pasta I got in my last video. If you want to check it out, I'll leave a link for you up there in the corner. A whole bag of pasta, a kilo. The packaging was ripped, so I put it in this plastic bag. But it's a whole kilo of perfectly fine pasta. And the onions I got, I think 2 months ago. It was a whole bag where one onion was rotten. I just took it out and I've been using up these onions now for the last 2 months, but there's still plenty left. So these are the items that I still have from food sharing. Then from our New Year's celebration, we have the potatoes and the cheese and the little bit of cream and the cream vega, which is just a vegan sort of cream thingy. We had raclette for New Year's Eve, like so many other Germans. And if you don't know what that is, it's basically a bunch of people sitting around a little barbecue, eating for 2 or 3 hours. Just Google it. But what you basically eat there a lot is potatoes and cheese. And we still have 1.5 kilos of potatoes left. So that's more than 3 pounds. And 400 grams of cheese, which is about 1 pound. We also used the cream for the raclette. About 2/3 are gone, but a third is still there. And this has been in the fridge for a week now, and it's still good. I tasted it. So guys, even if it's open, taste it. Or first smell it, you know how it is. Look at it, smell it, taste it, and it's still fine. So we're going to use that. The cream vega I bought for, I don't know. I probably also wanted to use it for the raclette and I didn't, so we still have that. And the only things I really bought for this video specifically are the 2 leek and the oat milk. The oat milk is unfortunately in a Tetra Pak. I usually buy it in a reusable glass bottle, but alas, the 2 stores where I wanted to buy it, both were out at the moment for whatever reason. They are getting a shipment this week, so I'll try to get it this week, but for this video I already needed it, so it's in a Tetra Pak. What can you do? Yeah, so really the only things I bought were the leek and the oat milk, and the rest was already here in our apartment. And with that, we will now cook. Okay, the first meal we're going to make is a pasta casserole. And if you don't like casseroles, then you're missing out, guys, because first of all, they're extremely easy to make, and second of all, they are extremely delicious. We're just going to use up a lot of the stuff that we already have. First of all, we are going to cook the pasta in boiling water. Not all of it, oh no, about 1/3 of it possibly. Then we will do a little bit of cutting. We will cut up 2, maybe 3 of these little onions into tiny cubes, and we will also wash and chop up the leek. And then we're gonna brown up the cut up onions in a pan. We will add the leek and also some of the peas. Again, not the whole bag, but about 250, 300 grams of peas. And then we will add the cream and some of the oat milk, and we will season that with salt and pepper, possibly with some veggie broth, but you could add whatever spices you like, you know. And then we will let that cook for a bit until it has a smooth consistency, a little bit thicker. If it's not thick enough, you can always add a little bit of cornstarch to thicken it up. And then we will add the pasta and the veggies into an oven-safe dish. And we will put a lot of shredded up cheese on top of it and bake it in the oven for about 20 minutes. Remember, everything is already cooked when you put the whole thing into the oven, so you don't really need to cook it that long. It just makes sure that everything comes together and that the cheese is melting. And then it's finished. Voila! And that is the casserole right out of the oven. I plated up one portion. As you can see, it's about a sixth of the whole dish. So I'd say this is at least 6 portions. I'm a good eater. I need at least that to get full. So I'd say this is 6 portions. If you don't eat that much, it could be 8. But for me, it's 6 portions at least. And I already took a bite. Oh God, I'm salivating so much because this is really delicious, guys. Now, I'm gonna enjoy the rest of this. Guten Appetit. Another meal for this week will be Apfelmaultaschen, which is one of my absolute childhood favorites. My mom made it for me very often, and I still love to make it until this day. All we need for that is some flour, some oat milk, some sour cream, some vegan sour cream here, and some apples. Now, you probably think, wait a minute, you didn't show us apples before. Yes, I didn't because I forgot. And I did not have to pay for these apples because my parents kindly gifted me a whole crate of apples from their own apple tree. So I did not have to pay for these at all. And they keep on the balcony the whole winter, which is great. So what we first do is we will make a kind of a pasta dough with the flour. All we need for that is 300 grams of flour, 150 grams of water, half a teaspoon of salt, and 2 teaspoons of oil. For a pasta dough, you would usually use olive oil, but since this is sort of a sweet dish with the apples, I will use neutral oil like sunflower seed oil. That would be perfect. With these ingredients, we will make a pasta dough, and then we will let that rest for about half an hour to let the gluten develop. Then we will divide this dough into 8 separate pieces, and we will roll the dough out into flat discs, and then we will put a dollop of the sour cream on top of each disc, and then we will add some peeled and chopped up apples on top of that. Then we will roll up these little discs into sort of rolls, obviously, and put that in the oven-safe dish. In the oven-safe dish, first we put a little bit of vegan butter or also oil to make sure that the Apfelmaultaschen do not stick to the dish. And then once we have arranged all of the Maultaschen in the dish, we will pour the oat milk over that and then bake it in the oven for about half an hour to 45 minutes at 180 degrees Celsius, which is around 350 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, traditionally, this is not a vegan dish, it's vegetarian. My mom used to make it with regular milk and with regular sour cream, but if you want to veganize it, it's extremely simple. Just use vegan butter and vegan oat milk and vegan sour cream. It's very easy. And that's about it. After 35 minutes approximately, I took the Maultaschen out of the oven, and this is what they look like. They have a gorgeous light brown golden color here at the top. That's very crispy. It's a nice crust, and I bet they are delicious. You can leave them in the oven a little bit longer if you want them a bit more brown at the top, but I think they are perfect like that. It caramelized beautifully here on the side. It smells delicious. It tastes delicious. And this is only one, but there are 9 more here in the pan. And I'd say you need at least 1.5 to get full, or 2. So it's at least 4 servings, could be possibly more depending on how hungry you are. Now, please excuse me while I devour this Maultaschen. And our third meal this week will be a simple potato curry. For that, we need a leek, 600 grams of potatoes, 150 grams of red lentils, an onion, a little bit of curry powder, some veggie broth, and some oil and salt. First of all, we will cut up and wash the leek, and then we will peel and chop up the onion and also the potatoes. We will take a pan and heat up a little bit of oil in there, and then we'll add the washed leek. Then we will brown that up for a few minutes until it's very tender, and then we will take the leek out of the pan. We will return the pan to the stove and then add in the onions and let them brown a bit in the pan. Then we will add the chopped up potatoes, and then we will also add 2 to 3 teaspoons of curry powder. Let that just saute for a bit, not too long, so the curry powder doesn't burn, but for a little bit. And then we will add 500 milliliters of water and 2 to 3 teaspoons of the veggie broth. Depending on how strong your veggie broth is, you want to add a little bit more or a little bit less. It's up to your personal taste. Then let that cook for 5 minutes. Add, after 5 minutes, the red lentils, also washed obviously, and then let that cook for another 10 minutes, so 15 minutes all in all. Taste if the red lentils are soft to your liking, and then you can add in the leek. And then you just let that heat through for another few minutes, and then you're done. And it's absolutely delicious. And this is the potato curry done. I tasted it to make sure that the potatoes and the lentils were done. I added more salt and more curry powder because I felt it needed it, and also a pinch of sugar to balance out sort of the other flavors. Now it's perfect. And since I already had some of the casserole and some Maultaschen beforehand, I will not eat this right now. I will put it in the fridge and enjoy it over the next few days. When you serve it, you can add a bit of sour cream or yogurt, vegan or non-vegan, your choice. I think that balances out the heat of the curry powder, so I definitely recommend doing that. And that, ladies and gentlemen, brings us to the end of this video. In case you were wondering, I only paid about €3.30 for the leek and the oat milk. Everything else was, as I explained, already in my fridge and pantry, so I really only paid €3.30 for all of the meals. The casserole you saw made like 6 servings. The Apfelmaultaschen and the curry made each 4 servings. That is 14 servings all in all, which means like lunch and dinner for a whole week for me. And with mostly food I already had in my fridge and pantry. I like that. I really, really like that. In case you liked it as well, feel free to give me one of these, or maybe comment, or maybe subscribe to my channel. I personally would appreciate that very, very much. Thank you again, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye-bye. Hello, you lovely people. No. Happy New Year, you lovely people. 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 Ooh. So, did we get it all out of the system?